Are you in a season where maybe you feel like me, your health has been neglected a little bit, but you don't know what to do about it? Or maybe you're in a season where you know you need to start taking better care of yourself, but you have no idea where to start, what to do. The process seems super overwhelming. Today, I'm going to talk about why health matters, particularly to entrepreneurs, but of course to everybody, and why it simply is just not a strategy to wait until it's quote unquote too late. Why everybody needs to care about their health now, and some simple things that you can do to support yourself. That's what we're getting into today on the Possibility Mom Live. So, I have been fairly transparent here on the podcast. I'm transparent about a lot of things here of what's been going on in my life. If you are new to me or you are catching up on what's happened in the last few months, we have had just a lot in the last approximately 6-ish months, maybe a little bit more than that. We have had a miscarriage. We have moved from the United States to Canada. We are managing two homes now, our home in Florida, and our home in Toronto. We have moved several times in Toronto for different reasons, one of them being a allergic reaction of my daughter, which put her in hospital, which meant that we had to find somewhere to live very quickly. And as you can imagine, that is a lot. All while homeschooling for the very first time, except for pandemic homeschooling when we were all homeschooling, but also electively homeschooling our 9 children. And I am pregnant with baby number 11. It's a lot. It's a lot. My business has not slowed down. My life has not slowed down. And as a result of a lot of small t trauma, we're going to call it miscarriage, I would say a small t trauma. My child in hospital, small t trauma. Uprooting and moving to find more ideal locations for my family, I would say small t trauma. As a result of all of that, my health has not been great. Now, I want to share I am okay. Everybody, I am okay. I sent an email with these sentiments and I got a whole bunch of messages saying, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Is everything okay?" I am totally okay. The kind of health challenges I'm talking about are very much more mental and emotional, as well as just stress, to be frank, and exhaustion. So I am totally okay. To my knowledge, everything is totally fine with the baby. You know what I mean? Like, but I have felt significant adrenal challenges. I have felt significant increase in just stress and anxiety. And so as a result, I have had to, out of necessity, do some things to support myself a bit more intentionally. And so today I just really want to share what has sort of transpired in me. So again, nothing is like seriously wrong, like per se, like I've not been diagnosed with some, big illness or something. This has just been the result of a lot of stress, particularly for me on my central nervous system. That's like probably the biggest place that I've noticed the ailment, so to speak. So today I want to talk about what am I currently doing to support myself and what have I learned as a result of taking better care of myself for maybe the first time in a really long time. When I did my podcast episode with the beautiful Claudine Noel, that was just a few podcasts ago. And hey, I'm almost at 100 podcasts. In fact, is today 100? Oh my gosh. If today's 100, I'm going to laugh really hard that I'm not tracking this a little bit clearly. But I am getting close to 100. And that is just extremely exciting and gratifying. And I'm very, very grateful. I'm just very, very grateful. I was just on a podcast as a guest this morning, and the host asked me, where do you record some of these insights? Because it's clear to me that you've been having some really big ahas about your relationship with God, your relationship with yourself, an increase in self awareness. Where do you record these so that you can remember them later? And I shared with her, not everybody needs to make this choice. Like, I certainly have made this conscientious choice, but I share a lot of my life publicly. And what's so wonderful about that is I can go back and watch my podcast. I can go back and watch my Instagram stories. And I'm very grateful that I have a lot of the pain document and a lot of the ahas and the closeness to God and just the stories recorded in this way. So I'm very grateful for you. I'm very grateful that you pop me into your earbuds from time to time. I'm grateful that you watch me here on YouTube. I treasure every single message, every single review, everything that you do to support this podcast and my business. I treasure it from the bottom of my heart. A great big thank you. We will probably need to do something to honor episode 100. So stay tuned for that. Before we get into the topic of today, I want to share with you that doors are open for the Wealth Without Guilt Academy. The Wealth Without Guilt Academy is my place for the Catholic mom who desires business coaching, business training in line with her Catholic values, where you can come and feel nourished and supported without a whiff of woo woo, without any confusion about is this in line, is this not in line, and where you can dip your toe. I've heard from so many of you that you would love to join me in my higher level programs, but money is just not possible. It's just not possible for you. I've created the Wealth Without Guilt Academy at such an accessible price point that you can truly dip your toe without without guilt. You can dip your toe and just see if business is for you for $49. Like, this is like, the cost of a nice meal out. You could build a business that makes you money and then some, makes you that $49 and then some, that makes you um, contribute to society and then some, that makes you feel alive in your gifts and talents and then some. I could keep going on, and then some and then some. There are so many benefits to a business beyond the money. You becoming fully alive and the person that you are meant to be. There is so much value in that. And so if you've always wanted to dip your toe into business, but you have feared the cost and have not wanted it to be risky, the Wealth Without Guilt Academy is where you can go. And so join me, learn.thepossibilitymom.com/WWG. Go. Join me and join an amazing community of women for as little as $49. All righty. Let's get into today's content. And I want to begin with why I think, especially entrepreneurs, need to care about their health. And when I'm talking about health, I am talking holistic health. I am talking about your spiritual, your mental and emotional, and your physical. You cannot separate any of them. I could be like a CrossFit superstar, but if I am relying on myself for my strength, if I am not thanking the Lord and I'm not entering into a posture of humility as to where my strength and power comes from, I'm going to be in trouble. Similarly, not that my state in life calls me to do this, but I could be in a monastery praying for 10 hours a day, and I could have horrible, horrible, horrible health and be unable to serve the people or the community I'm called to serve. And that's not a great outcome either. We have got to acknowledge that we are living human beings that like bleed and get cold and need support. And so when I talk about health, I am talking about it holistically, from a physical, from a mental, emotional, and from a spiritual aspect. Okay, I've got 4 reasons why an entrepreneur especially, but this could apply to all, needs to really care about their health. Number one, you will be a better entrepreneur. I love working late into the night. It's still a really challenging thing for me because it has been a time of great focus. So and let me know in the comments if you're watching this live and in real time. Let me know if you love working into the night too. I can easily work until 2 a.m. It's like focused. Nobody bothers me typically at 1 a.m. And I can get so much done. So I have definitely held on to this belief that that's the only way for me to be productive. And I've definitely held on to this belief that in order for me to make money, in order for me to grow my company, I need to stay up till 2 a.m. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I still do. But as a result of what I've been going through in these last couple of months, especially being pregnant, I have found that I just simply cannot function without a lot of sleep. Sleep and nausea for me have been really tied together. And I just simply like 9 p.m. Actually, to be honest, for me personally, it was always around 5, right at the very like hectic time, like cooking in the kitchen, everybody needing things. Usually around 5 p.m. is when my nausea would get so debilitating. And I would often just be lying flat out on the couch, instructing my children or telling my husband, put this in the oven, like whatever, right? Like you guys figure it out. I am not well. And then by 9 p.m., just having no more to give and needing to go to bed. Whereas in the past, I would have worked from like 9 p.m. onward. I definitely held on to this thought that this is the only way for me to make money. But what I have seen as a result of going to bed earlier is I simply wake up more refreshed. And it leads me to my next point, which supports this point. I have made more money, although in my brain, I don't want to believe that. I have had better ideas, although in my brain, I'm still holding on to no, it's better to stay up late. But because my sleep obviously impacts my cognitive abilities, my ability to do things like go outside and exercise, get into nature, because all these things are combined and impact each other, I have become a better entrepreneur, meaning I'm creating interesting things. I am creating um, value for people. I am happier when I create. And sometimes you can't create if you're so exhausted that you just can't function. So I argue you will be a better entrepreneur, and I argue you will make more money because you have so much more to give in your business. You're not giving your business, you're not giving your life your leftover energy. So if you're similar to me and you have a tendency to stay up late, what I've been doing is just being a little bit more obedient during the day, being a little bit more diligent during the day, and also just accepting. It's been very hard for me, but just accepting when, okay, that's it. That's all that's getting done. Like it could be more. It could always be more, but just really accepting this is what it's going to be right now, and that is completely okay. So I argue you will be a better entrepreneur when your health increases. And one of the reasons why you'll be a better entrepreneur is your ability to cognitively think. Your ability to think cognitively simply increases, particularly when you are sleeping well. Grace builds upon nature. This is a famous um, quote by, forgive me, it's Aquinas, or is it Augustine? I'm so sorry. I'm having a little bit of a I'm having a cognitive slip on who says grace builds upon nature. But grace builds upon nature. If we sleep 2 hours a night, it is very difficult to think cognitively. It just is. Like, that's just a fact. I'm so sorry to break it to you, but It's why it's used as a torture device. I remember I used to watch the show called The Unit. It was a show like in the 2000s, I want to say. And I remember it was like these, black ops type of operators, and they would do these training drills. And I remember in one of them, they would play the audio of a baby crying over and over and over and over again on a loop as a form of torture, and they would train these guys on how to survive that. So it's used as a form of torture, and it's because it becomes very difficult to think cognitively. This is still one that I'm kind of growing in, but what I really like to tell myself is present you really likes this right now. Present you is really happy watching that show, but future you is going to be so happy that you put yourself to bed at 10 p.m. Future you is so going to thank you. So just we just can't deny. And I think you can do this for maybe a few years, maybe like there is and the grace of the Holy Spirit, 100%, obviously. Like we've all been in seasons where you have a newborn and your sleep is interrupted, where you have sick kids. So please don't misunderstand me. I know the reality of motherhood. Hello, I've got 9 kids like in my house. I get it. But when possible to control, let's control it. When possible to make those choices, let's make those choices, because I really do believe that your ability to think cognitively, which then impacts so many things in your business. Think about it. When you are a little bit more clear headed, that comes naturally with more sleep. You're able to handle challenges a little bit better. You're maybe able to handle hormonal challenges in yourself, like right now being pregnant, a little bit better, just because your central nervous system, I'm learning all these new words, vagal and sympathetic. I don't even know what those describe, but basically things in your system are greater supported when you have sleep. So taking care of your health, why an entrepreneur especially needs to care about it, is your ability to think cognitively simply increases. Joanne here in the chat says, staying up late always ruins the following day for me in all the ways, so it's not worth it. Sleeping has definitely made me a better entrepreneur. Amen. And I want to share just 2 more points. You will enjoy your life so much more. Again, I really held on to this belief. And for me, the sleep part was the part that really had to change for me. Eating, I have fluctuated in terms of like how well I handled that. But sleeping is historically for me always been the thing that I've been hard to kind of like let go of and be a little bit better to myself. But just very sincerely, I enjoy things more when I have given myself that support in a good night's sleep. I enjoy things. I enjoy chores. I wake up with a bit more, pep, obviously. Tackling, like, I'll never forget the other day, I had gone to bed really early, and maybe a few nights before that, I had not. And I just remember how acutely the difference was when I went to go tackle the kitchen sink that still had a few dishes left in it from the night before. On the night that I had very little sleep, it was like, oh, I can't believe I have to do this now. And I'm a mindset coach, so I'm very, very, very aware of what thoughts are in my head. But that was just so automatic. Like I was coming from this place of total exhaustion. But then when the night that I had gotten really good sleep, it was like, oh, I can tackle these dishes. These dishes got nothing on me. Grace builds upon nature. Like it's just a fact. So let us help our bodies out. You will enjoy life so much more, and you will enjoy people so much more. I have small, small, small kids. Not all of them have control over their cognitive abilities. You know what I mean? Like I laugh all the time. I often say, I wish I could be Andrew. Andrew, my sweet little 1-year-old, he turned 1 in December. So he's coming up on, he's like a good 16 months now, I think. He just wears every emotion very, very, very visibly on his sweet little face, in his sweet little body. I have never had a child who throws a fit quite like Andrew. He expresses his displeasure in a full body experience. Like I wish I could show you and capture it in the moment. If you have a child similar to me, let me know in the comments. Like when he is not happy, he will throw himself down on the ground and he does this funny rolling tantrum, I call it. He just rolls a lot. He rolls one way and he rolls the other way. He sometimes face plants, like not like where he hurts himself, but he intentionally like puts his head down and is like mad. And I say it all the time. I'm like, I wish I could just live like Andrew, like where just like every single emotion I could just, almost unapologetically display, right? So when I am not sleeping well, when I am not drinking enough water, when I'm not eating well, when I'm not helping my central nervous system relax, it's more difficult to handle the emotions of my infant. Again, this is just a fact. Yes, we can mindset think. We can be aware of phrases like I have to deal with another tantrum. Like yes, we can change that script to I get to serve my family, I get to care for my infant. 100%. Don't get me wrong. But we also cannot negate the fact that your body can get very taxed when it comes to hearing a child cry again and again and again multiple times a day. And so again, I just feel so much more supported, particularly in the central nervous system, which we'll talk about in a moment, when I have done some of the things that I'm going to get into now. So, you'll be a better entrepreneur. You'll be able to think cognitively. You will enjoy your life and enjoy the people in your life so much more. Those are the four things that I have felt really compelled on because of my recent changes. Now, I want to talk to you about some of the changes that I've made. Number one is water. I drink an honestly, like maybe obscene amount of water. Maybe to the point where like there actually can be too much water, but I don't think so, to be honest. I have a Stanley water bottle that comes everywhere with me, basically. And basically, it's just like I fill that thing and then I drain it. And then I fill it up again and I drain it. And I know I drink at least, if not more, 4 Stanleys a day. That has been such a game changer. Like just the ability to consume water has changed so much for me. Again, cognitive awareness, my ability to think more clearly, my ability to respond to things. And I do also think there is mindfulness that happens when you just sit through a straw and you kind of just sit there and drink water for a minute. There is just a small moment of mindfulness that can occur. This is such a simple way. If you have never or if you've historically not felt like you've not gotten enough water in your life, I just say like just get yourself a water bottle and just make it your mission, to kind of drink that water bottle all day long. I can't say enough about water. I don't know. It has just so personally convicted me that it's such a simple thing that people can do. So, so simple. So that's one of the biggest changes. I consume way more water than I ever have in the past, and it has served me immensely. The second thing that has been very, very helpful for me, this is what I loved about my life in Florida, and I am loving about Canadian springtime. And in the wintertime too, we would do this, but loving, loving, loving Canada in the spring. We're moving into the summer now. And oh my word, so much time outside. So I have made a very specific effort to every single day walk. I walk and I walk and I walk and I walk. Most of the time, I'm taking my kids with me. Sometimes, not as often, but sometimes I'm walking by myself. The other night, I caught up with my dear friend Erin, and we talked for an hour while I walked. And oh my gosh, did that fill my cup, both just emotionally and like so fun to socially chat with a friend, but to just be outside, sun on your eyeballs, sun on your skin, like, and fresh air, birds chirping, to be present in nature. This has been so fulfilling and so helpful in my life right now. And like simple, like just very simple. I would like to exercise more. And I'll be honest with you, um, I think I have some limiting beliefs that I need to help myself in. I could probably benefit from some coaching around what my thoughts are about exercise right now. So that's a time for another day. If you've been following me for a while, you know I was a very avid CrossFit um worker outer. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. I had a trainer show up at my house twice a week. At one point, it was 3 times a week, I think, and it really blessed my life. And I have just simply not gotten into a routine. But I think I also have a whole bunch of limiting beliefs around that. So at the very minimum right now, I am walking every single day outside to the point where I'm in a sweat. You know what I mean? Like just like we are walking, like we are walking. This is not just browsing. Sometimes it's like just a leisurely walk, but it's often like we are walking. Guys, we are walking. And my little kids will climb trees, run around, run amok, whatever. But and I'm just like, we are doing this. And it's been so I I'm learning from one of my coaches. Her name is Claudine Noel. I already mentioned her on this podcast. What it looks like to sacred play, and for me, frolicking outside with my children, especially around water where I live currently. There's tons of babbling brooks. There's so many brooks and bodies of water. It has just been a joy to like sit there, especially on the lake. My little infant throws rocks into the water. Like everybody just loves playing outside. And so that's been a very significant thing that I have done. It's just increased my time outside. And I do look forward. I've got to work through some of the mindset issues I've got around exercising again like I used to, but I'm sure it will come. So I do look forward to doing a little bit more heavy, like literal lifting. I love that kind of exercise. Like really agrees with me, even in pregnancy. You can totally do it safely. I've had incredible coaches, Jessica Copeland in Ave Maria, Florida, my former CrossFit coach. I miss you immensely. All right. The third thing that I have been doing really specifically, and this has been my favorite thing. Oh my word. And I've done it through two different things, is just simply work on my central nervous system. So, what do I mean by that? Spiritual, mental, emotional, okay? And physical. Physical is like the things I'm talking about. You're walking, whatever. Exercise, your muscles, all that kind of stuff. Your spiritual, I work with a spiritual director. I have a beautiful priest in my life. Just had a session with him today. Helps you like where God is calling you. And then the mental and emotional and the physical are kind of where your central nervous system, I'm not a doctor. I'm not explaining this probably very clearly, but that's kind of like where that kind of lives. We can have emotions triggered by thoughts that then cause bodily reactions to our central nervous system. These are things like your heart rate. These are things like how many breaths you're taking per minute. And I have just noticed, even like just feeling my heart when I've been in these periods of stress, like we have been, I can just feel it. Like you don't need to be a doctor to feel like, ooh, something's really elevated. Like you're breathing shallow, Lisa, or your heart seems to be like kind of racing a little bit. I'm sure everybody can understand what I mean. When your central nervous system goes through too much of these taxing situations over and over and over again, we lead to problems. Like it leads to problems like adrenal fatigue. Like I said, there's these parts of your system. I'm not entirely sure what they all mean just now. I'm at the beginning of my journey of understanding this all. Your vagal, your sympathetic, but these are all the things that control and activate stress and different hormones like cortisol that get released in your body. And over time, if you don't address these things, they can lead to significant health challenges. And again, even just like your ability to produce in your business. You cannot live in fight, flight, freeze forever. You just can't. I feel like that's kind of literally just what happened to me. It was months and months and months and months of fight, flight, freeze. children being sick, baby being miscarried, like just normal tensions in life. And then add on moving and like boxes and all the stuff. And my system was just like, you are done. We are done. We are waving the white flag. And so here are the things that I've been doing. I am working with Claudine Noel. Claudine Noel has a program called Arise. I put the link down below where you can learn more about it. And what she's doing is truly helping us just drop in to our central nervous systems and addressing the emotions, addressing the parts of ourselves that might be causing some of these flare ups, these heart rate irregularities, all the things to calm the heck down. Those are my words, not hers. One of the most interesting things about working with her is she is a physician. So she is a trained physician. She has two specialties. I forget exactly what they are right now, but she has given us all access to an app that measures my heart rate with the phone on the camera on my phone. I put my finger over the camera on my phone and I sit there for about a minute and it measures my heart rate and then that data is recorded. One of the other things I love about this app is, and the name is escaping me right now, but after it measures my heart rate, it will tell me, oh, it looks like you've woken up refreshed, Lisa. Great job. But sometimes it will say, oh, it looks like your heart rate is a little bit elevated. Rest this morning is recommended. Similarly, there is a assessment it takes you through every day where you're measuring things in your life, like your relationships, like your work, like your environment. It reminds me a lot of the women's school, how the women's school has the wholeness wheel, if you remember, if you're familiar with that content. But it has you assess how you're feeling. And it's interesting. The words are like, are you feeling playful and free? Are you feeling loved, supported, secure? The next one over here is, are you feeling calm, at peace? The one down here is drained, overwhelmed, if I'm remembering correctly. And then another one is like stressed, like really, really stressed. Numb. Are you feeling numb? Are you numbing? Like, are you numb? And then there's another area that's escaping my memory, but it just is so interesting to assess every day in all of these areas. So in all of my, in my marriage, with my kids, my environment, my work, like just assessing in all of these areas of my life where I'm at on a daily basis. And then what's so cool is the app spits out an exercise. And yes, it is the NeuroFit app. The app then spits out an exercise where it's like, based on what you shared today, it looks like you could benefit from this. And they're different exercises to help you calm down. So, for example, one that gets recommended to me a lot is putting both my hands on my heart and for a full 3 minutes, just breathing. And I know, at least this is how I get. I look at that and I'm like, that's not going to do anything. Like, I'm like, that's a waste of time. Like, literally, like, I just, like, when I first started doing this, it's only been, about a week or so. But when I first started this, I was like, this is dumb. Like, I don't have time to just sit here and put my hands on my heart and breathe. But there is, again, like, just my encouragement to you is, if you're similar to me and maybe think that these things aren't going to be effective. Oh my word, just try it out. Like, as an act of obedience, just try it out. And I just sit there and I'm like, this is so nice. And lo and behold, my heart rate has gotten better every day. Every single day, I'm starting to get more positive and positive results. Like, hey, it looks like you're feeling refreshed. It looks like your system is refreshed. There's a whole bunch of other activities. One of them is dancing. One of them is literally put on some music and dance. And they have it on the little timer. It's like, for 3 minutes, you are going to dance. The point is that I'm trying to make here is that your central nervous system, you cannot negate. You just can't. You can think all the positive thoughts you want. But if you have a bunch of cortisol literally like pulsing in your body, releasing those hormones that are going to cause you to still stay in this state of either an elevated heart rate or fight, flight, or freeze, whatever it is that you're in at that moment. Long-term negative effects. Like it's just undebatable. Like it's just that is just a fact. You can think as positively as you want about your life. But if your physical corporeal makeup is struggling, yes, will those thoughts help you? 100% they will. And they can help you to calm down. But it's almost like, let me think if I can think of a great example. Like if you have a Brita filter, for example, eventually you have to change the filter. You know what I mean? You can keep putting new water. You can keep using the old filter over and over again, and you can think positively all you want about putting water in the filter. This might not be the best analogy, but it's what's coming to me now. But that filter eventually is gross and bad. Like eventually that filter has filtered out a whole bunch of toxins and it's just not going to be as effective. And so we can't negate how powerful our central nervous system is. And so that's just been, honestly, I'm so grateful for this work and just having a bit better of a handle on what's going on in my body. I love data, so it's really fun using the NeuroFit app to track my data. And I love that I'm working with a physician who can actually give me, you know, trained insight as to what she's seeing inside of my app. The other thing I'm doing is I'm working with a therapist. Her name is Virginia, and she is beautiful. And she does something called internal family systems. And that has truly been, I've done a lot of different kinds of therapy. I've done a lot of different kinds of coaching. If you've been following me for a while, you know, I just love personal development so much. But I have never done something truly so healing. And this is what I want to say to my fellow coaches out there who perhaps are similar to me, maybe feel like, oh no, I'm good. Like I'm in the personal development space. Like I'm a personal development like junkie guru. Like I'm learning from the best in the personal development space. Power to you. But here's what I want to say. If you notice that a really similar trend keeps on happening. So let me give you an example from my own life. Just being really hard on yourself when something goes wrong. Okay. So that's just like a very like just a trend for me. When something goes wrong, I can be really hard on myself. And if you want to go and watch Claudine Coached Me, um, and you can kind of see like what happened there. It's very similar to what happens with my internal family systems therapist. If you have a really recurring thing that happens to you, like being hard on yourself, yes, you can write 100 scripts and that can help rewire your brain. But it will greatly benefit you to drop deep into your inside to that voice, that part of you that is asking to be heard. If you struggle with something, again, I'll just use this example of like needing to be right. And so then when you're wrong, you are really hard on yourself. There is a part of you that desperately wants to be heard. Or slash and there's a part of you that also is trying to protect that other part from being wrong because they grossly associate getting something wrong as very dangerous. So there might be a part of you showing up that is like also desperate to be heard because it's trying to protect something else. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes we can go to these resources that stay very much on the surface. I hate to say it. Like but they do. They stay on the surface. You can write all kinds of scripts. You can put out positive messages. You can say things to yourself that will help you. These are all going to help you. They're 100% going to help you. But sometimes, especially if it's really habitual and you notice this is a really like deeply ingrained habit for you, it's going to require you to drop into yourself and maybe meet a part of yourself that you have suppressed or just not given voice to because it's too scary. And again, you might be listening to this and you're like, that sounds really woo woo. What in the world are you talking about? This is, I promise you, very natural. Like you're just, all you're looking at is that we are many parts and you are looking at the different parts of you that make up who you are. Whew, internal family systems combined with some of this physical stuff that the NeuroFit app has been giving me, and the just again, the ability to give myself space to feel anything, including the most negative emotions, and do it safely has been so helpful to me. And I just really want to encourage, if you have a tendency to maybe like just suppress and not not address and just run from some of this stuff, I just really want to encourage you. It will serve you so much better in the long run to do this work, to do this healing work. I have never felt so convicted of this in my entire life than I do like how I feel right now. It is so necessary to heal because otherwise what's going to happen? It's just going to keep happening again and again and again. And then your central nervous system is just going to get taxed again and again and again. I think the biggest fruit of this time for me has been just recognizing old traumas that I kind of felt like, oh, whatever, I've dealt with them. Oh, I've been in therapy, I've been coaching, I've been in spiritual direction for years. Oh, yeah. I'm fine. I'm totally fine in those areas. These last couple of months, it has shown me, oh, you're maybe not so fine in those areas. Like these are coming back and they're coming back with a vengeance. And so this central nervous system work, so helpful. So I invite you to just like go on a little adventure with what this looks like in your own life. And then finally, I've talked about it a lot on this podcast today, is sleep. And I want to introduce you to Jessica Castillo. Jessica Castillo is a beautiful Catholic health coach, high performance coach. She, her platform is called a Thriving Catholic. A link to where you can learn about her membership community. And she has really encouraged me to think about sleep differently. And it's still, this is a work in progress for me. I just sort of, again, I think it's just a bit of a habit at this point. I have told myself that I'm more productive in the middle of the night, but my age, my pregnancy, so many things, like it has just not been possible. Like it's proven to be the opposite. I'm not more productive because I'm totally a mess the next day. Um, I really believe many things can be cured by a good night's sleep. One of the things that my spiritual director today actually just mentioned, and it's just so true. And I'm going to tell you an example that might, I don't know, like, I don't know. I'm just going to say it. It feels a little vulnerable, but I was telling him, there have been a couple times where our finances have been so just challenged, just challenged, where I've been like, I need to buy diapers, but I also need to buy food. You know what I mean? And I've just had, there's been a few times where I've been like, eep. What, you know what I mean? Like, and again, we're okay. Please don't write me all these letters of, oh my gosh, do you need diapers? No, we are fine. But I'm just being very honest that there's been some challenges where I've been like, oh, like we got to, we're some decisions is what I'm trying to say. So I'm sharing this with my spiritual director. I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know, like diapers, like they're expensive. Like much rather spend, $35 on something else. It's just, gosh, but like my child needs diapers, so I'm gonna do it, right? I'm gonna buy them. And he was like, man, what if you just didn't buy the diapers? And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, if you really had to pick, are you gonna pick food or are you gonna pick diapers? And he was like, you're gonna pick food, right? And I was like, Father Damien, like, like, and he was like, what did they do before disposable diapers? They did cloth diapers. And I was like, oh my gosh, Father Damien. He was like, I'm sure you have some cloth. I was like, so anyway, my point is, and again, this is sort of a funny little example. Um, I promise I have enough money for diapers. I'm just using this as an example. But the point he was trying to make is like the reason why we sometimes get so stressed is that we can't come out of a situation. Like we are just so in the little situation that we're like, all we can see is like the stress, or all we can see is the, um, whatever, like literally like what is in front of us acutely. Whereas Father Damien is like, meh, put a t-shirt on your baby, no big deal. Like, what did your parents do with you? They had cloth diapers, and I'm like rolling my eyes all the time at him. But to his point, a little perspective on a situation can be incredibly helpful. A little like zoom out from that thing that seems so challenging, you know? A good night's sleep can be such a zoom out from, again, something that is incredibly challenging. You know that expression, don't go to bed angry? I'm like, actually, no, go to bed angry, because I bet you anything you're going to deal with this situation way better in the morning when you have slept. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if this resonates with you. Let me know in the comments if, you just are in a similar space where it's like time to just take care of things. And again, I'm hoping even just these 4 things that I shared: drinking more water, getting active, preferably outside, taking care of your central nervous system via getting a health coach, via um, therapy if you need it, or whatever other kind of way, trying out the NeuroFit app and using data to help you um, get yourself to a place of better equilibrium. And then finally, sleep. I'm hoping that those 4 areas can help you immensely if you are in a time of renaissance or renewal about your health, like I am. My friends, it is a joy to be with you. It is a joy to journey with you. I feel so funny about that diaper thing. Like, it's a my spiritual director is a very wise man. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't think you've raised a bunch of kids and don't know the implication of like a t-shirt on a baby. But I appreciate so much that perspective. And so I hope um, that blesses you also. Not tomorrow, next week on the podcast, we are bringing on the beautiful Jennifer Zambiel of Together. And we're going to talk about how to increase connection with your kids, particularly over the summer months. If you are an entrepreneur worried about how you're going to work this summer with all your kids at home, you're going to want to tune in live to that one. She has got some incredible strategies for how to increase connection, particularly when you're an entrepreneur and all the kiddos are at home. It is a joy to be here with all of you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on the Possibility Mom Live.